Hey YouTubers, Bagel here. Just smoked a nice bowl. Felt like talking about a video that you might have seen. Uh, it's of me smoking 55 milligrams of 5-MeO DMT. If you haven't seen the video, I suggest watching that first, and then you can get what I'm talking about. Or you can even watch this video now and then watch that video afterwards and see what I'm talking about now, and correlate it to when I was going through it. Um, so the first couple hits was just like, just like the first hit maybe of 5-MeO DMT for me, if you've never tried it. First hit is, it hits you, you feel this rush. I feel it starts in my chest and kind of just shoots up on the exhale. And maybe, the visuals for it will be like, I don't know, a gram and a half mushroom trip or a tab of acid, some really light. Second hit, it'll be kind of like this medium high strung mushroom or acid trip. Once again, nothing like too crazy yet, but once you get that third hit, for some reason for me, the third hit always hits me, and everything just kind of like instantly just gets replaced with patterns, intense visual patterns. Looks like it's fucking like fabricated on the walls, and to me sometimes when I look at my hands, it looks like the textures are underneath my hand and like under my skin going up. Very cool. um, one thing, two things that I'll talk about from that trip video were, the first one I'll bring up was very cool visuals that I had, two that really stuck out, and the second being uh, my experience of time on that trip, along with just about every other DMT trip. But this one was like, I remembered it. I paid attention to it while I was tripping. Um, my first like insane visual on that trip was, I opened my eyes and I looked next to me. It was after like my fourth or fifth hit, and I see fucking these layers of patterns, and each layer there's like maybe, I don't know, like 8 or 9 or something, I guess. It didn't look too many, but it looked like a good like 5 feet of air was filled up with these layers like this thick of patterns, and each layer had its own pattern. And when they were all like, stacked up on each other, it made one big like main pattern. And I was able to pass my hand through these layers and like mess around with the patterns and change it. It's really cool. I decided to like play music and stare at that. I decided, I was like, all right, I want to stare at this wall for the rest of my trip, and which I wasn't able to do, but I tried my best, and I got my guitar, and I started to play, and it seemed that the patterns in the air were almost like listening to my music, like knew that I was playing music, and we're kind of like moving around and changing colors and changing tones and changing like clarity and depth and everything. Very, very cool. Second crazy visual I had on that one was, and this is still like the most insane closed eye visual I ever had, was I had my eyes closed, right, and all these patterns just started like whooshing in and making faces, and the faces became on a like a three-dimensional sided face, I guess, not like a human face, but like a face of a something. And whenever it would rotate, each side had a different like face, and they kind of looked like a mix between animal and human faces. Like some had horns and some had like goat jaws. I don't know. It was weird. The faces began to spin faster and faster until finally it was spinning so fast that this solid image appeared inside of it, and it was of this featureless woman. She was just like, it was like a golden 3D silhouette of this woman, and she had this pail, and she stepped off of her. I call it a pedestal. I don't like. I just picture like the way I remember it is these big golden columns with like a step, and she was on the step and stepped off, and she was just infinite in all directions, all behind me, in front of me, everywhere. Just couldn't like put a number on how many of her there was. but they all looked like they were at the same distance. Once again, very weird with perception and all that. Very strange. And she walked over to me and like was trying to offer me this pail. And I remember I was like putting out my arms, or at least I think I was, and I was trying to grab this pail from her, but I couldn't grasp the thought of like I couldn't grasp the idea of how to take it from her. Like she was like, "Come on, like, you know, here it is." And I'm just like, "What? What?" You know? I still find it pretty funny how like confused I was, and how it's frustrating that there's so many things about experiences like this that you can't explain, that you can't really put into good terms or fully understand of terms. But the feeling of that feeling of that kind of confusion was so overwhelming, not in a bad way, but it was so overwhelming in a sense where like I completely lost like everything. Like it was almost kind of like an ego death, but I just like saw how like naive I was to like everything about what I thought I was trying to really explore, and like I thought I knew, and which is like, you know, the psychedelic realm. And it was almost like this feeling of humiliation, like I felt like I was trying to impress her. She was trying to see something in me, and like I fucked it up. And it was just like, it was very confusing, very embarrassing, and it was. But like this whole time, I had a feeling like it's all right, like it's okay. Don't worry, you're gonna be here again. You're gonna have plenty of time to learn all you can do. Figure out your whole potential, you know. That's what I learned from that, from just a visual, you know. That's what I learned from a visual that I interacted with. The other thing was time dilution, and the video's 10 minutes long. I'm plateaued at my peak, you know, for maybe a good 3.5 minutes at best, 4 minutes, because my tolerance was so high that day. I just like, that was maybe like my 4th time smoking that day. I just had a bunch, made it, so I was going at it. But so the trip lasted about 4 minutes, but I felt like I was in this trip for maybe a good fucking half hour, 45 minutes, maybe even an hour. Majority of it spending like looking at that wall, and then the rest with just being mind fucked, you know? It was a very, as with every DMT experience for me, it was a very spiritual one, very insightful, life changing, and I think it's so funny how like when you trip, you don't do anything but sit there, yet you change so much. If you've never tried this, I don't say you should do it, but I mean, hey, fucking YOLO, you only live once, so why not, right? If you're interested. For me, it makes me feel better about life and death. You'll see in my other videos I mentioned that. That's what I do psychedelics for. I love learning about life, learning what's wrong with me, how to fix it, you know? Because overall, I wanna be like the best person that I can be. And although I can do that without the help of psychedelic drugs make it. It just seems so like it's just very rewarding, the experience, and the better you feel about yourself and what you're doing, the better like your experience will be. It'll be that much more spiritual. It'll be that much more rewarding. And you know what they say, when you die, DMT is released. So you're gonna have one trip, and tripping is all based on your subconscious. Really, when you go that far, and that last DMT trip at death is like a very potent one. So I want to go into that with a good, clean fucking soul, you know? Because if I can experience eternity on 55 milligrams, or sometimes even less, you know, then you can experience it like an eternal amount of eternities on that final trip. So be good people. Don't hate. Don't discriminate. Just play. And stay high, my friends, alright? Peace.